Studios of WBFJ. I'm glad to have for the very first time Craig Vaughn. Craig, welcome to WBFJ. Glad to have you, man.
Thank you, Kurt, so much for having us. It's an honor.
Let's kind of go back here before we really get into your new CD and everything. And I will talk about it, really break everything down about it. But where did music kind of start for you? Is this something that happened long, long ago? Is this something you picked up later in life? When did music kind of start for you?
I was 8 years old when I started. My family, I'm from a huge family. My mom had 12 brothers, or 10 brothers and 2 sisters, and about all of them played music. So I would get behind them when they was playing, and I kind of learned, and I kind of picked it up, and I went to church, and I would play a little bit then, and I started my own little band years ago. We did a little band called Common Creed and released several CDs, and eventually it turned me into being a solo artist and playing professionally and doing it full time.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So not only did you have a musical family, you had the church influence as well there, right?
Yes, love it. Huge influence. So I was at church every Sunday, anytime the doors was open, and we played, and I was even in a little band as a young kid, I remember. And to me, I teach guitar and teach people how to play music. And to me, that is one of the greatest things that I can give them, is to get in front of people. And the church is a great place to do it, is to get that experience of how to interact with the crowd and stuff like that.
You mentioned that you were in a band called Common Creed, and I remember that band. I remember that band's name. And then you were talking about how Donna, who used to work here, had interviewed you. You guys, right?
Many years ago. Yeah, I had me and my wife Jessica in one time, and I think me and Barry Dow come in and interviewed. We made 3 CDs, and I think she had us in on that first one, and we had some great guest artists on it and everything, and I actually went back and listened to that a while back. I laughed.
Yeah, that's been what, 15 years at least, maybe?
I would say. So it's a pretty cool thing to look at the longevity of something. You know,
Yeah.
in music you don't always have that. And I count myself pretty fortunate to still be around, still play, and still have people want to hear me play.
Maybe in 15 years you'll listen back at this interview,
That's
Craig,
right.
And see where you are then. I don't know.
That's right. Maybe we'll look better then.
Yeah. Hey, we look good for radio.
That's
so
right.
Hey, Craig, let me ask you something. Although you grew up playing music at a young age, you were influenced by the church. When did you kind of feel like, or just know that God had given you this talent, and you kind of wanted to give back to Him?
Wow, that's a great question. That probably came. I struggled with that, even though I was in church, and even though I was playing. I played many different styles. I played a lot of rock and stuff like that. But I was always in the church, and I played, but I didn't really understand the connection until a little bit later. I was in my 20s when it kind of connected with me that I could use what I had. I was really heavily influenced by the blues, Eric Clapton, and by Eddie Van Halen, and all these great guitarists. And I didn't really understand how I could connect with, people that wanted to find out about Jesus, and I didn't understand that for the longest time, especially years ago. Now, it's kind of easier to see that as we have contemporary music everywhere. But when we started out in the 90s, it was a little rare around here. But I remember very plainly when we started Common Creed, we just kind of got together as friends, and we said, let's write some songs, and it kind of happened organically. And people, I think we booked ourselves one time, and from then on, it was on. People started booking us and calling us and everything. It was awesome to do that.
You ever stay in contact with some of those guys?
Yes, we do. Actually, we did a little reunion show probably about 2 or 3 years ago, and that was so awesome. We did an event at Carroll County High School, actually, and we all got together. We just thought it was a good time. Somebody had called, and they was having a big event, and I was like, it's been 15 years or whatever it was at that time, 10 years, I couldn't remember, but it was just a wonderful time to get together and to play some of those old songs again, and I still see and keep in contact with them.
I think it's kind of neat as a believer, if you've been a believer for a long time, it's kind of neat to look back and see where God has brought you from. from where you are today. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
and it's not a bad thing. It's just the steps that God has taken you to where you're sitting here today. You know?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, all those things kind of make you who you are.
Right.
I think, and that's the cool thing. That's the cool thing, and that's kind of what I've pieced together. And now I'm fortunate enough where I told you I give these guitar lessons, and I'm around a lot of musicians and stuff. I can kind of encourage them, even on worship teams and stuff. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll help some different worship teams and stuff, and I can kind of encourage them on the journey that I know that I've been, and hopefully shorten the distance for them, some of the mistakes that I made, and some of the things that maybe I wasn't so sure about, thinking that I had to have everything perfect before I recorded or whatever, that sometimes you just have to do the best you can and learn from that and go to the next one, and that's kind of how it's happened.
I would think teaching guitar lessons is very rewarding for you as well. And have you seen people come back to you that you how long have you been doing it, by the way?
Wow, now I've taught lessons probably 20 years.
So have you had people come back and go, dude, you helped me out, you inspired me?
Yes.
Have you?
I have some of the most amazing stories on that. I've had people, who couldn't really, one of the best students I ever had, didn't even know how to hold a guitar, and now years later, here they lead worship. I've watched them. I've sat in the audience and watched them, and they're like tremendous, and I'm like, wow. And then they come down and tell me what an influence you've been on me. So that's kind of full circle, because to me that comes back around to when I was 8 and I first started being behind my grandma and my uncles and everyone, and them taking the time to say, hey, here's how you do that. And now I get the opportunity of helping others and see them flourish. So it's a big deal.
I wonder if any of those are teaching guitar lessons.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have. I hope they do. I tell them all I hope they go on and do greater things than I've ever dreamed about.
It's just a stepping stone, man. That is cool what you've done there, and the legacy that you've got there with all those people. How many people do you think you've helped taught guitar lessons? Just a guesstimate.
Wow. I give well over, like 30 or 35 lessons right now, and that's, this is why I do full time. So I would say several hundred. I would say over. Man. It's been a lot. I don't know. I'd have to sit down and think, but I know dozens and dozens and dozens. And probably my most important one is filming us right now. Bailey, my son.
Yeah.
So he's turned into quite a guitarist himself.
Cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your new 13-song CD is entitled "The Craig Vaughn Experience."
Yes.
Before we get into that a little bit, tell me what made you decide to do this. I know you probably had songs in your head you had written, so you wanted to get them out there.
Yeah.
So tell me kind of how this all evolved.
That's a great question. So about 4 years ago, I was working in the corporate world. I have a business degree, and even though I would work at churches, I was a worship leader, worship pastor at a couple of different churches. I would do that part-time along with I have a business degree, so I was out in the corporate world working. And I never understood exactly how I could do this full-time. I always was either in a band or leading worship or something like that. And there was 3 things that God kind of told me when I stepped down, and God said, you need to be a full-time musician, playing not only in churches but in secular places and being around and helping people. So that was the first thing I was supposed to do. The second thing was to give these guitar lessons, and the third thing was to record and to write some original material and to get with my friends and kind of get that out to people wherever I was out. So the last 4 years, that's kind of been a labor of love for me to get to do that, to write, and some of the songs took a little longer than others, and I really wanted it to display all the different styles, the musical styles that I get to perform and play when we go out and gig.
Speaking of styles, how would you, in a box, how would you put this music style on this CD in a box? I want to hear what you have to say. I've got kind of an idea.
Oh man, it's everything from rock. There's a lot of blues, oriented stuff, acoustic, newgrass styles, a little bit of pop in there, and even a taste of reggae. So we have a lot of different styles in there, but I would say heavily on the bluesy side, that's kind of where my heart's always been is that sort of Stevie Ray Vaughan.
It comes out.
That kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
a lot of my friends that play on this album, man, they're tremendous musicians, and what an honor it was to have all of them on there. And these are the same people that go out with me live too. So
Okay. I had someone describe their CD one time as a holy